It should also be noted that the concept of Jungian archetypes or Platonic forms is also related to the concept of instinct or gut feeling or intuition, and that the German idealist concept of intuition being superior to logic actually is connected to the Platonic forms or Jungian archetypes, because you are intuiting that superworld and you're also intuiting this world. It's not like how Kant believed it to be, where everything is just a perception of the world, but not actually an accurate vision of the world. Kant believed that all perceptions were faulty, but that the German idealists believed that you could connect to the world. And that the reason why you could connect to the world is because everything is one, and then this relates back to Platonic realism, that everything is a form, and all the forms go back to other forms. I believe beauty being the ultimate form, and all forms go back to the divine mind or nous, and then that in turn goes back to the one. But it's also worth noting that Plotinus, among other Neoplatonists, believed that the one is immanent within the world and also beyond the world. You see this in Plotinus as well as in Hermeticism. And once you realize this, then you begin to have this panentheistic view of nature, where God is in everything, yet also beyond the world. He's in everything, as in pantheism, but he's also beyond the world, and that is panentheism. Both in the material world, in the higher worlds, and beyond all worlds, beyond the entire universe. In the Corpus Hermeticum, it says that beyond the walls of the universe lies nothing but the one. In other words, imagine the universe is a sphere, because the Corpus Hermeticum also says that the universe is a sphere. Which makes sense, because everything is spheres, if you notice, in space. Planets are spheres, stars are spheres, black holes are spheres, everything's a sphere. And so it makes sense that the universe would be a sphere. But that leads to the question, what is beyond the sphere? And according to the Corpus Hermeticum, beyond the sphere exists nothing but the one. That you could think of the universe as being like a snow globe that is submerged in water. Better yet, think of the universe as a snow globe made of ice. No, a water bubble. Imagine the universe as a water bubble. And that water bubble contains water. It's made out of water, yet it's submerged within water. That is the universe. In this case, the water being the one. The one is outside the universe, it surrounds the universe, it is the universe, and it fills the universe. The universe is distinct from the rest of the one, according to the Corpus Hermeticum, because the one emanated into existence the universe within itself. This also leads to the possibility that there could be other universes as well within the one, and that the one is beyond all comprehension, beyond everything. It is also believed by many Platonists that the only way to comprehend the one is through negative theology, saying what the one isn't. Although Parmenides, the pre-Socratic philosopher, believed that there were two options for understanding the one as best as one could. Either comprehending the one through being what it is or what it isn't. In other words, negative or positive theology, or more particularly ontology, taken to its logical conclusion, and that those are the two great paths towards being able to somewhat comprehend the one. Another concept in Platonism is the debate between Plotinus and Iamblichus on whether or not it is necessary to do rituals in order to reunite with the One. This is interesting because Iamblichus believed that the only way to reunite with the One is to do prescribed rituals that are divinely revealed and then work your way up. First doing rituals to invoke nature spirits or daimons, and then going to celestial gods that exist that you can see in the night sky, the stars and the planets, and then invoking noetic gods. And that you do this through a series of rituals and sacrifices of animals and libations. And through this, you ascend through the levels, and that you eventually get to the noetic realm where you make sacrifices of numbers, at least according to Gregory Shaw, writer of Theurgy and the Soul, who says that you need to sacrifice numbers through visualizations, and that's how you connect with the highest noetic gods. And eventually you go back to the demiurge, but you can never go back to the One. Iamblichus believed that this was necessary because the soul fully descended into the body, so the only way to go back up was through these different spiritual beings in the universal hierarchy. Plotinus, on the other hand, believed that the soul did not fully descend into the body and was still partially in the noetic realm, in the nous, in the divine mind, and that you could connect directly back to the nous, the divine mind, and then even back to the One itself, purely through contemplation with no ritual being necessary. I tend to believe that Plotinus is right, but that Iamblichus was onto something. Because in the Rig Veda, it says that symbols are useful for focusing the mind as a way to help one contemplate divinity, and that it is possible to do so without the aid of a symbol, but that doing so would be much harder, and that it does not make one superior because they did it the hard way without a symbol. So in conclusion, it's better to use symbols and rituals, but Plotinus is right, it's not necessary, and that pure silence and contemplation alone can do it. Plotinus's method is very much like Buddha's, Siddhartha Gautama's method for reaching nirvana, as opposed to Iamblichus, who is more of a traditionalist in the sense that he wants to preserve the earthly traditions that all cultures have and incorporate the traditions of different religions into the fabric of Platonic theology and reunification with the divine mind. Near the end of Plato's life, when he had reached old age, he gave a lecture on the good life, and people who attended this lecture expected to hear all about ethics and what one would expect from a lecture on the good life. Yet when they arrived, all they got was hours of extremely complex and baroque discussions of geometry and math and the forms, which Plato believed to be all connected and essentially one thing, that all the forms were at their core mathematical. This sounds almost like fractals, doesn't it? And that this was all related to reuniting with the One. He spoke for hours, and people left early, many people stayed to the end, but everyone walked away, or at least most people, walked away completely bewildered. The details of this lecture are not recorded, but if they were, I believe that they would be profound. Near the end of his life, Plato believed that the forms were Pythagorean numbers, and his earlier philosophy merged with that of Pythagoras's, and I believe this to be the true philosophy.